I had to arrange a way of meeting them because I didn't want to be one of the crowd out there. I wanted to get in where the action was. I painted maybe 100 or so or more portraits of the Beatles, for girls mainly. And I used to sell them for about £5. So I painted Bob Francis. I gave him a freebie. He suggested to me to present the Beatles with portraits in the press conference.
I was 17 years old. Bob Francis saw me at the Princeton Club and thought I looked a bit like Ringo with the short haircut. It was a Vidal Sassoon cut. He'd yell out, "Good day, Ringo," as I'd walk past. They thought that I could present Ringo with an opal ring from South Australia. Then he got tonsillitis. And I thought, oh, that's going to put an end to it. But then I was told that I was still meeting the Beatles as Adelaide's answer to Ringo.
Ernie Sigley said, "Do you want to meet the Beatles?" We said, "Oh, yes." And then he wandered back into the press conference room, and then this boy came out and said, "Come on, come in." And we looked at each other and we think, oh, no, I don't think he means us. But then apparently Ernie told them we were junior reporters and we could have gone in, but we were too stunned.
And so, armed with the paintings, I walked through the throng of people, 200,000 or 300,000 of them, more than in Sydney. I just recently got out of the police force. I saw some of the cops that I was in the force with, and they're holding the crowds back. And I thought, nah, 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 nah. And they said, "Finlay, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm going to see my mates." And who are your mates? John, Paul, George, Ringo. Who else?
Gentlemen, there's one question I would like to ask you.
Ringo? No, please, the girl who's going to present the ring.
So I went round to where they were sitting behind this table, and all the interviewers were sitting on little cushion things on the floor. John stood up and gave me his seat.
Have a seat.
We think she looks a bit like Ringo.
Doesn't like it, and she's better looking.
He said to me, "Oh, you're prettier than Ringo."
I must admit, she did look. She had her hair pulled down like that, and she had a very similar face. Lovely kid.
I thought I'd dress similar to the Beatles. It's not the sort of things that I would normally wear.
In those days, everybody smoked, even in the press conference. And it was getting a little bit like an indoor billiard room, you know? And you could just make out, oh, is that Paul McCartney? Through the mist. And he was fagging too. I was too, I must confess.
Well, it'll probably be the searchers, the rolling.
And then Paul McCartney offered me a cigarette because they were smoking. Well, I don't smoke, so I had to say no. And then I just sat there while the Beatles were interviewed. I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there. I was just in too much awe being with them.
John had a pretty great sense of humour, and he talked a little bit about the art school. He went to art school. He said, "I love the paintings, Peter. It's grand." I talked at length to George, and he was a great guy. I said, "Do you like Australia?" "Oh, we haven't seen much of it, but it's good so far." They said that they've never had a crowd that big. You know, they're amazed, and I think they loved Adelaide because of that, because they've never seen anything like that, not even in America.